Good, happy Tuesday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, so let's begin. First up, we begin with the WMUR News 9 Stormwatch team. As you know, this morning when people woke up, some parts of New Hampshire saw snow and other parts of New Hampshire saw a thin coating of ice and some freezing drizzle and rain. Well, all that precipitation is moved out of New Hampshire, and now the WMUR weather team is saying coldest air of the season moves in. So get ready for it. The coldest air of the season, everyone, as it moves into New Hampshire. And currently, right now, there are 26 closings and delays. If you want to see that list, we will be sure to share it with you on the Riley King Network Facebook page. Also, today, roads were slippery because of snow-covered roads and wintry mix that hit some parts of New Hampshire. And New Hampshire Department of Transportation posted road condition update at 3:30 p.m. And let's take a look at that photo so you know what areas we're talking about. So, District 1 up in here. Driving conditions are difficult. Please watch your speed and be careful. In District 2 and 3, fair driving conditions. And then the rest of the districts, all right here. Good driving conditions. If you want a full traffic report, just go to the Riley King Network Facebook page and you can find the full traffic report there. Now let's get to your news. A 84-year-old, 76-year-old ID'd as victim of apparent boat collision. 2 men killed in collision off Bear Island in Lake Winnipesaukee. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Amy Cavino.
Authorities have just confirmed the names of the people involved in a deadly incident on Lake Winnipesaukee. Investigators believe that 2 boats, driven by 76-year-old James Hansen and 84-year-old Harold Lyon, collided Saturday night. Both men died in the accident. Hansen's wife, Carmela, is in the hospital. A longtime friend of Lyon says he was a military veteran who served as a paratrooper.
But Al really was a great guy. He was a great angler and hunter, and just a wealth of knowledge and information.
Lyon's body was recovered by divers on Sunday. Right now, his boat remains submerged in 48 feet of water. The exact cause of that crash remains under investigation.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Crews fight fire at wastewater treatment plant in Manchester. Officials estimate $25,000 in damage. Manchester fire crews responded to a fire in a building at the Manchester wastewater treatment plant at 300 Watson Street around 3:30 p.m. on Monday. Officials said the fire started in the motor of a blower that is used to take odor from the waste and release it into the soil. Crews quickly knocked it down. The building is not occupied. Officials report the fire caused an estimated $25,000 in damage. Operations at the facility were unaffected, and there is another blower that can be used. Mark Sanford announces in New Hampshire he's suspending presidential campaign. Republican makes announcement during stop in Granite State. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
We do have some breaking political news. Mark Sanford, a Republican challenger to President Trump, has dropped out of the race. WMUR political director Adam Sexton is with the former South Carolina governor and U.S. representative right now, who confirmed just moments ago that he is suspending his campaign. Challenges to what was considered a long-shot campaign included his home state's decision to suspend its own Republican primary, though, again, Mark Sanford is out of the race for president.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Bullock says 4th or 5th place finish in New Hampshire, Iowa would put him on presidential radar. Democratic presidential Montana governor is running for president and files for the first-in-the-nation primary ballot at namesake's desk. Montana Governor Steve Bullock had a special enjoyment filing his name for the first-in-the-nation primary ballot Tuesday. He signed the declaration and handed over his 1,000 check at the desk donated by the family of his namesake, the same name as him, of that desk. More than a century ago, New Hampshire State Rep. Stephen A. Bullock sponsored legislation that established the primary. The contest wasn't first in the nation, and it is debate in 1916. But by 1920, 2 other states had moved aside, and New Hampshire was first in the nation for the first time. Billionaire Steyer says billionaire Bloomberg must meet voters, embrace wealth tax to be viable. Steyer files for New Hampshire presidential primary, endorsed by legendary New Hampshire Democrat Dudley. Despite his considerable wealth, Tom Steyer says he has been following a traditional plan during his presidential campaign that separates him from the other billionaires who's likely to get into the race. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Steyer says he's talking to voters. Steyer filed his candidacy for the first-in-the-nation primary Tuesday, accompanied by his wife and a legendary figure in New Hampshire politics, former executive counselor Dudley of Durham, and also got an endorsement by Dudley as well. And now let's take a look at that U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Tuesday evening. And here's a look at your U.S. stock market for this Tuesday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed flat. Your Nasdaq closed in the green and up. S&P 500 closed in the green and up. Gold closed in the red and down. Oil closed in the red and down. US 10-year closed in the red and down. Euro/USD closed in the green and up. And VIX closed in the red and went down. S&P 500 and Nasdaq inch higher to record high, with Disney pacing gains. Wall Street continued its run to record high on Tuesday, led by strong gains in Disney and Facebook shares. Protesters gather as Supreme Court hearing arguments in DACA case. Let's take a listen to that video from MSNBC.
We want to take you now to the Supreme Court, where a big case is being heard. You're looking live as we speak at demonstrators outside. More protesters arriving by the minute, because inside, justices are hearing one of the most consequential cases of this term on whether to greenlight President Trump's plan to end protections for hundreds of thousands of immigrants from deportation. This is the policy put in place by former President Obama. It's known as DACA, right? It affects people known as dreamers. NBC's Pete Williams is at the court for us.
Hallie, the court is hearing argument now, and here's the big question. If President Obama could start DACA simply by presidential action, why can't President Trump just stop it by presidential action? And what the defenders of DACA say is it's the way the president did it. They say rather than stepping out forward and owning the issue and saying we want to shut DACA down as a matter of presidential policy, instead the Trump administration said, well, we have to shut it down because it's illegal, it's unconstitutional. The Trump administration says that the DACA program gives benefits to recipients that can only be bestowed by Congress. And for that reason, they say President Obama overreached. But the defenders of DACA say, no, this kind of blanket permission to stay in the country, a promise that the law won't be enforced against them, has been done many times by previous administrations against people from many other countries, and that when that happened, they also got permission to get jobs and get Social Security benefits. And in fact, what they say is the majority of DACA recipients have met the standards of the law. They've gone to school or they joined the military, they've gotten jobs, and by now, many DACA recipients now have children of their own born in the United States who are U.S. citizens. So that's the question here. Did the Trump administration do this right, or did they simply evade responsibility? And is that a problem for them that could cause the Supreme Court to rule that DACA was properly reinstated? Now, the other question is, do the courts have any authority to look at this at all? The Trump administration says no, because this is presidential discretion. The court should bug out. So that's another issue. But you can be sure that whatever the Supreme Court rules, we won't get the ruling until next spring. And that means DACA undoubtedly will be an issue in the presidential campaign. Hallie?
Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.